Well, this is a point that comes up at numerous times because many devotees, after getting either kicked out or driven away or discouraged away from ISKCON, had no place to go, and many of them went to different Gaudiya and different godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada. I'm referring to the period after Prabhupada departed here.
Yes.
This is the period that you inquired.
Yes, that's correct.
Many people went to different godbrothers because they had temples, ashrams, and facilities. In other words, the devotees that worked for Srila Prabhupada, they worked very hard to build up the institution of ISKCON. And many people, not just a few, but many, were driven away and kicked out by that new guru system. So what happened is many of them went to the Gaudiya Math. Unfortunately, Prabhupada did not recommend devotees to take that approach because we see that when Prabhupada was building his institution from 1965 and forward, there was a lot of criticisms of his activities from different senior members of the Gaudiya Math. Prabhupada tried to cooperate with them. Prabhupada requested some land at Mayapur. He was refused. They refused to help him. Different godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada tried to steal some of his disciples away from him. Many of them engaged, especially after 1972, many engaged in propaganda against Srila Prabhupada and our movement because we as disciples were calling him Srila Prabhupada. And many of them took exception to that. They felt that this was not right, but basically Prabhupada mentions this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita as well and his Upadeshamrita, that some godbrothers protested when his disciples called him Prabhupada. So there was a trend of propaganda against our Srila Prabhupada, and there was a lot of things. Prabhupada was a Paramamsa. He was a highly elevated soul. He did not take offense and did not retaliate. He gave some instructions in his Chaitanya Charitamrita to the effect of the breakdown of the Gaudiya Math, explaining what happened, because he wanted to warn his disciples not to do the same thing in his institution. Unfortunately, the leaders of ISKCON did not either read these purports or edited them. They did not quite understand what Prabhupada was telling them. So the difficulty is, as you summarized it, what should devotees do? Well, there are devotees who are emphasizing Prabhupada. We may not have the institutional assets of ISKCON, but we do have association, we do have arrangement, we do have publications. There are devotees that have regular meetings. There are devotees that have temples. There is alternatives to that association. It also depends how much seriousness a devotee has to correctly follow Prabhupada. There is a lot of people who think, well, I follow Prabhupada in my head, in my mind, in the head. Okay, that's nice. But to follow Prabhupada seriously and correctly, one cannot neglect the instructions. One cannot pick and choose which instruction we're going to follow and which instruction we're not going to follow. And I'm very familiar with many statements from people in ISKCON who say, well, only within ISKCON can you make spiritual advancement. Well, that's very nice. That's a very nice statement you make. Are you really following? Why are you changing the teachings? Why are you changing the books? There's a lot of unanswered questions about the behavior and policies of these people in ISKCON. So for those devotees who are serious about following Prabhupada now, they can associate with this group, the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, and get a deeper understanding of his teaching, of his instruction, and try to follow that way. But if somebody wants to go to the Gaudiya Math, we can't do anything about that. We can't control what they're going to do.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first. Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from major retailers like Amazon and Target.
I just want to put things a little bit in the historical context of how these books were translated.
Yes.
In 1977, now this is not, there's no documentation of this, but Srila Prabhupada raised the issue in a conversation with the GBC on May 27th, 1977, that his translations were, because he was a realized soul, they were being appreciated by everybody. And he was saying that anybody who was going to translate the book should be highly realized. So, in other words, the question is, how did he want the Bhagavatam, specifically the 11th and 12th canto? Because the 10th canto has been translated into English with the Krishna book, so that's taken care of. When we were in Vrindavan there, it was the understanding of all the GBCs and devotees there that Prabhupada had delegated Prajimna Prabhu, also affectionately referred by Srila Prabhupada as Panditji, to translate the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada told him to translate. This was related to me directly by Prajimna.
Gaur Govinda Maharaj, some devotees went on their own flank and they've made their own system and they say that this is a pure devotee and they worship in him. Yet he has a lot of contradictions in what he says. He's basically repeating Srila Prabhupada, and he says that one cannot get transcendental knowledge of Divya Gyan from books and from audio, from listening. But meanwhile, his own disciples promote his books and promote his audio lectures and say that he is, so that's like a little bit of, that is hypocritical. But he was formerly a guru with the GBC, or appointed from the GBC, and then he got kicked out, if I'm not mistaken, because of his own propaganda that he had happening. I don't know if any one of the disciples can comment on that.
Yashoda could give us further insight, please.
Well, I just want to make a correction. He was never kicked out. He was allowed to stay in an ISKCON because he got his license or his vote from the very same people that he was criticizing. Okay. Now, we met this Gaur Govinda, Puranjan and myself, in 1993 in Badger, California. And Puranjan explained to him that this whole idea of guru appointment was never done by Prabhupada.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur talked about chanting. He said, it is also offensive to be inattentive while chanting. And this is the biggest challenge I have, is to be attentive while I'm chanting. So I would like you to comment and tell me how I can have better attention toward my chanting.
Well, it is a simple process. Prabhupada repeats the same concept in many of his purports in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam, that the chanting should be done with proper attention. Because as we know in Kali Yuga, there are so many disturbances. Just like every day through the newspapers, radio, television, computers, internet, there is a constant wave of Maya information, of topics relating to this world. And Prabhupada one time gave a very interesting story how his Guru Maharaj had a discussion with a very great Pandit, because during the manifested presence of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he was publishing 2 newspapers. One was from Nadia Prakash, another one from Calcutta, where he was preaching there. So one very great Pandit came to him and says, how can you have so much information in these newspapers? So much information about the spiritual. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur replied that the spiritual world is so much greater than the material world. There is constant activity there. There is constant glorification of Krishna. So when we have 2 newspapers, that is very little. It can be done 24 hours a day. Of course, this is the vision of a Paramamsa. Same thing with Srila Prabhupada. He was 24 hours a day engaged. So the whole idea is to engage the mind, and to seriously engage the mind in hearing the name, to hearing the vibration of the name. And to think, but because the name of Krishna, the name, the qualities, the form, the activities, it's all related. Just like we have the Krishna book. The Krishna book is a description of all the activities of Krishna. So while one is chanting Hare Krishna, one can think of the activities of Krishna. There's the name of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, the activities of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna, and all these different literatures that are given by the great acharyas. And by remembering those, it will be easier to pay attention. But even if one has difficulty, as I quoted that verse from the Padma Purana, that simply by trying to get up a stairway, a slippery stairway again and again, eventually one will reach the top. So by chanting, even though there's problem, chanting again and again and praying to Krishna, please engage me in your service, like that will help. Hare Krishna.
If you live in Ontario and don't have life insurance, then listen to this. Until the end of this month, you could get up to $100,000 in coverage from only $30 a month with no physical medical exam, even if you're a smoker or have some health conditions. The best part? You could get covered the same day. All you need to do is click the blue button under this video. You'll see the same site you see on the screen right now. Just answer the simple questions by clicking the blue buttons or using the slider to select your age. Then tap how much coverage you feel your family needs, and that's it. So click that blue button under this video, right now. See that same quiz, and you could get covered today for up to $100,000 in coverage from as little as $30 per month. So click that button now, take the quiz, and get started.
The real estate market is rapidly shifting, so if you're thinking about selling a house anywhere within about an hour of Mississauga, including the blue areas on this map, and you want to ensure that you're getting as much for your house as you could and should when you sell, then this message is specifically for you because we'd love to share with you a brand new, better way to sell that's working best right now in today's market. Sellers using this method are getting way better results than those using the old-fashioned traditional methods and getting way more money when they sell and in a more convenient way. So if you'd like to find out a little bit more about exactly what these sellers are doing so that you too could get more money more conveniently, we can help you with that by giving you the 3 things that can help you to sell for more money right now. Just click that big blue button located around this video. It's probably in the bottom left or maybe below this video. Then answer a few super easy questions about the type of property that you're planning to sell. And then instantly, we'll send you a PDF version of a brand new book that spells out in great detail exactly what these sellers are doing. And when I say we're going to send it to you instantly, I mean you're going to get it within about 5 seconds. That's because we're going to text it to you because your phone is probably in your hand right now or it's right next to you. The second thing that we're going to give you is a home seller's checklist guide, and you'll find this super helpful to organize and streamline your sale. And then the third thing that we're going to give you is a price that you could get for your property if you were to sell using the methods that are described in this book. Because again, remember, these sellers are getting more money. You could get more money too. How much more? Well, we can tell you that. So click that big blue button and get your book and your checklist instantly. Now, we can't send you the price instantly because this is not some type of automated home valuation algorithm thing. Everybody knows that those are never accurate. So instead, we'll have a real person crunch some numbers behind the scenes, and then we'll get back to you within about 5 minutes with a truly accurate price. So go ahead, click that big blue button, get your book, get your checklist, and get your price, and you will be set to sell. Thanks.
With the Prabhupada Disciples Association, our mission is to establish that Prabhupada lives on in sound in his Vani incarnation. As you know, Prabhupada was present recently in his Vapu form. This form of the pure devotee is a very auspicious opportunity and was an auspicious opportunity for many of us to get his personal association. And we shouldn't minimize that. Vapu, the physical form, the opportunity to contact such an elevated soul as Srila Prabhupada was a great blessing for many of us. And some people, they've taken advantage of that association to promote themselves as some kind of special devotee. Actually, I had a chance to get quite a bit of association with Srila Prabhupada relative to the amount of association that he had with his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada had a formula for us when he was personally present to come to Mayapur, India, every year and get his association. It was amazing. 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Going to Mayapur, very exciting for all of us. I mean, consider we're from the West here. I'm from a steel town in Canada called Hamilton. All of a sudden, I'm transported by the mercy of the pure devotee to Sridham Mayapur. And having the opportunity to actually see the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya and to be in association with Srila Prabhupada and hear him speak every day at the festivals. When we went to India, the main function was to get the association of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It wasn't a tourist trip. Oh, we'll go to India, we'll go on the boats on the Ganges River, we'll go to the Jamuna, we'll go see Govardhan Hill, we'll go bathe in Radhakunda. Oh yes, these were good things, but the real ecstasy was to be able to attend the Srimad Bhagavatam class every morning that Srila Prabhupada was delivering to all of us. Now, how astute were we when Prabhupada was personally present with us? I'm going to say, in all honesty, a lot of times it was very difficult because of the schedule, in the case of traveling, jet lag. And for the first couple of years that I was in India, I got, like many of us, I think some of you who are in this group that were there, in 1973, everybody got extremely sick with all kinds of digestive disorders. So we would drag ourselves to class, like physically. It was extremely austere. In Mayapur, there was a wall. I believe that Yashodanandana Prabhu and his colleague at the time had contributed the money to build this wall, because there was only one main building that they had constructed. Actually, we were there while they were still constructing the building, that one building, and we were allowed to stay in the building, even though it wasn't complete. Everyone got very, very ill. It was like a lot of people extremely sick. So my point is, it was difficult to stay attentive. It was very, very difficult and austere. So despite the fact of being in association with Prabhupada, getting his darshan, it was difficult to listen. You know, a lot of people would fall asleep in the class. Can you imagine? We're at these classes given by the pure devotee. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to us, and you fall asleep. You'd be pinching yourself. Now you're pinching your leg, forcing yourself to stay awake. Now, how attentive are you when you're at a class where you're trying to keep your eyes open because you're so tired, you're so sick, it's so difficult. So a lot of this association with the pure devotee, it was Krishna's mercy on us and Krishna's blessing on us. But were we able to fully appreciate what was happening? I look at all of these pictures that are coming up, of myself with Prabhupada. There's quite a few pictures that I was fortunate enough to be in. How did I really appreciate the presence of the pure devotee then? Well, it was difficult. In all fairness, it was very difficult to really appreciate what was happening. So this Vapu association, although it's a great blessing, The Vani incarnation of our spiritual master is something that we're able to take advantage of in the year 2023 with much more attention and focus. This is the point that I'm making for us, that Prabhupada lives in his sound. And even if you were, say you were attending a class back in 1974 in Vrindavan, you probably can't remember it, but you can go now to the library or the archives and you can hear the class again, and it becomes ever fresh. And you can, Yashodanandana Prabhu has these books. I have a few of them. I have these Bhagavatam books, written script from the class. You can go read those and get it really absorbed in the class. So this Vani incarnation that we speak about is real. It is very real, and it is for all of us, the new aspiring Prabhupada disciples or new Prabhupada disciples who have taken initiation. We together as a group have a great opportunity to take advantage of this technology and be able to understand in depth what Prabhupada is trying to explain to us in terms of Krishna consciousness.
Earlier last summer, I had to drive a relative to a medical facility. In the lobby of that medical facility, one elderly lady in a chair, in a wheelchair, was screaming, "Oh, I don't want to die, I don't want to die." And the nurses came to her and very patiently tried to tell her, "You won't die, ma'am, you won't die." And she kept screaming, "Oh, I don't want to die." Now, this is a natural feeling. Living beings in the material world are looking, they're aspiring, they're hankering for eternal life. The problem is we can't get eternal life here. You can't get eternal life here. As much as we may want to, as much as current medical science may promise that in the future we may discover some drug or some treatment or some facility that was going to prolong life, that we can freeze somebody, all these wonderful future promises, the reality is death is unavoidable. It's unavoidable. Now, an intelligent
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society, which is moving forward in its expansion of different branches worldwide. And we're currently working on setting up 11 or 12 different branches of this organization for the specific purpose of protecting Prabhupada's legacy in the form of his books, his lectures, his personal instructions, his letters, his morning walks, all of the different vehicles of communication that were captured during his presence here with us in the early years of ISKCON, of which many of us were participants, interestingly enough. And that experience for all of us is unique in our history, and it is also an opportunity for us as God brothers to share this information with all the new people that are interested in self-realization and God consciousness. And this is only possible by association with a bona fide. We've been studying Balaram constantly in these books, the information given by Prabhupada, and he's always referring to bona fide. It's it's every week, every purport, everything is bona fide, has to be bona fide. And so there's a system how to be bona fide, whether you're a bona fide guru or a bona fide disciple. And so we want to explain to others what this bona fide process is, not an illicit process, which is manifested, after.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say that doing a TEDx talk is going to be the most transformative and uplifting experience.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Prabhupada.
This is a recording of the Chaitanya Charitamrita class held on November 2nd, 2022. This is a recording of the Chaitanya Charitamrita class held on November 2nd, 2022. Due to technical issues, the recording begins from the end of the introduction of the book.
In this way, he is just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Chaitanya is Sri Krishna himself, he appears as a devotee to teach people in general how to love Krishna. Similarly, Advaita Acharya appeared just to distribute the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Thus, he is also the Lord incarnated as a devotee. Krishna is manifested in 5 different expansions, and he and all of his associates appear as devotees of the Supreme Lord in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhara, Srivas, and others. In all cases, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the source of energy for all his devotees. Since this is the case, if we take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the successful execution of Krishna consciousness, we are sure to make progress. One devotional song by Narottam Das Thakur states, "My dear Lord Chaitanya, please have mercy upon me. There is no one who is as merciful as you. My plea is most urgent because your mission is to deliver fallen souls, and no one is more fallen than I. I beg priority." The author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, was an inhabitant of Vrindavana and a great devotee. He had been living with his family in Katwa, a small town in a district of Burdwan in Bengal. His family also worshipped Radha Krishna. And once, when there was some misunderstanding amongst his family about devotional service, Krishnadas Kaviraj was advised by Nityananda Prabhu in a dream to leave home and go to Vrindavana. Although he was very old, he started out that very night and went to live in Vrindavana. While he was there, he met some of the Goswamis, principal disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was requested to write Chaitanya Charitamrita by the devotees of Vrindavana. Although he began this work at a very old age, by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he finished it. Today, it remains the most authoritative book on Chaitanya's philosophy and life. When Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was living in Vrindavana, there were not very many temples.
If you owe more than $10,000 on credit cards, lines of credit, or personal loans in Canada,
Go ahead.
Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I don't recall if we read the entire introduction to Adi Lila chapter 1 last week. I think we had a long discussion about the initiation issue and the various deletions.
Yes, we read
that
it
took
all,
place.
and we're supposed to begin at text 1 today.
What was that, Prabhu?
We did read the whole introduction, and we're supposed to begin at text 1 today.
Okay. All right. Text number 1, page number 18. Vande Gurunisha Bhaktam Isham Ishabatarakam Tat Prakashant Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sanyakam Vande. I offer respectful obeisances, Gurun, unto the spiritual masters, Isha Bhaktam, unto the devotees of the Supreme Lord, Isham, unto the Supreme Lord, Isha Avatarakan, unto the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Tat, of the Supreme Lord, Prakashan, unto the manifestations, Cha, and Tat, of the Supreme Lord, Shakti, unto the potencies, Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sangyakam, name. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnation, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I just want to point out all the translations, word for word and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. I just want to point out here, this series of verses that we're going to be reading are very important. Those of you who have the books, you could look at text number 20 and 21, where Krishnadas Kaviraj says, in the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text number 21, such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill one's own desires. So it's a very important sequence of verses here. Text number 2, Bande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudodaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shamdo Tamonudo Vande. I offer respectful obeisances Sri Krishna Chaitanya, to Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, and to Lord Nityananda, Saha Udito, simultaneously arisen, Gauda Udaye, on the eastern horizon of Gauda, Pushpavanto, the sun and the moon together, Chitro, wonderful, Shamdo, bestowing benediction, Tama Nudo, dissipating darkness. Translation by His Divine Grace. I affirm my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and the moon, sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Text number 3. Yadadvaitam brahmopanishadi tadapyasyatanu yatmantaryami purusha iti sosyam sabibhava Shadeshwarye purno yaiha bhagavan saswayamayam nachetanyat Krishna's jagati paratatvam paramiha yat, that which advaitam, non-dual, Brahma, the impersonal Brahman, Upanishadi, in the Upanishads, tat, that, api, certainly, asya, his, tanubha, the effulgence of his transcendental body, ya, who, atma, the supersoul, Antaryami, indwelling Lord, Purusha, supreme enjoyer, iti, thus, sa, he, asya, his, amshabhibhavaha, plenary expansion, Sateshwarye, with all 6 opulences, Purnaha, full, ya, who, iha, here, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sa, he, Swayam, himself, Ayam, this, Na, not, Chaitanyat, then Lord Chaitanya, Krishnat, then Lord Krishna, Jagati, in the world, Para, higher, Tattvam, truth, Param, another, Iha, here. Translation by Prabhupada. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord knows that the supersoul is but his localized plenary portion. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Text number 4. Anarpita charim chirata karuna yabatirna kalu samarpayetu monato jvalarasam svabhakti shriyam Arihi purata sundara juti kadamba sandipita Sadardaya Kandare Pushpuratuva Sachinandana Anarpita, not bestowed, Charim, having been formerly, Chirat, for a long time, Karunaya, by causeless mercy, Avatirnaha, descended, Kalau, in the age of Kali, Samarpayitum, to bestow, Unnata, elevated, Ujvalarasam, the conjugal mellow, Swabhakti, of his own service, Shriyam, the treasure, Harihi, the supreme Lord, Purata, then gold, Sundara, more beautiful, duty of splendor, Kadamba, with a multitude, Sandipitaha, lighted up, Sada, always, Hridaya Kandari, in the cavity of the heart, Puratu, let him be manifest, Va, your, Sachinandana, the son of Mother Sachi. Translation. May that Lord who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. Text number 5. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Alladini Shakirasmad Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Puradya Bedam Gatautu Chetanyakyam Prakatamadhuna Tadvayam Chekyamaptam Radha Bhava Duti Subalitam Naomi Krishna Swarupam. Radha Srimati Radharani, Krishna of Lord Krishna, Pranaya of love, Vikritihi, the transformation, Alladini Shaktihi, pleasure potency, Asmat, from this, Ika Atmano, both the same in identity, Api, although, Bhava Bhuvi, on earth, Pura, from beginningless time, Deabhitam, separate forms, Gato, obtain, Tau, those two, Chaitanya Akyam, known as Sri Chaitanya, Prakatam, manifest, Adhuna, now, Tadvayam, the two of them, Cha, and Aikyam, unity, Aptam, obtain, Radha, of Srimati Radharani, Bhava, mood, duty, the luster, Subhaditam, who is adorned with, Naomi, I offer my obeisances, Krishna Swarupam, to him who is identical with Sri Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestation of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Text number 6. Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayeva Asvadyu Yinadbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiyah Saukyam Chasya Madanubhavataha Kidrusham Vetilo Bhat Tadbhavadyah Samajani Sachi Garbha Sindhu Harindu. Sri Radhaya of Srimati Radharani, Pranaya Mahima, the greatness of the love, Kidrishaha, of what kind, Va, or, Anaya, by this one, Radha, Eva, alone, Asvadyaha, to be relished, Yena, by that love, Adbhuta Madhurima, the wonderful sweetness. Kidrishaha, of what kind? Va, or. Madiyaha, of me. Saukyam, the happiness. Cha, and. Asyaha, her. Mat anubhavataha, from realization of my sweetness. Kidrisham, of what kind? Va, or. Iti, thus. Lobhat, from the desire. Tat, her. Baba adyaha, richly endowed with emotions. Samajani, took birth. Sachigarbha, of the womb of Srimati Sachidevi. Sindhu, in the ocean. Hari, Lord Krishna. Induhu, like the moon. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appears from the womb of Sachi Devi, of Srimati Sachi Devi, as the moon appears from the ocean. Text 7. Sankarashana karanato yashayi, garbodashayi, chetpayobdishayi, sheshashtayam sakalaha, sanityananda kyaramaha, sharanam mamastu. Sankarashana, Mahasankarshana in the spiritual sky. Karana Toyashayi, Karunadakshayi Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. Garbhodashayi, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, who lies in the Garbhodaka ocean of the universe. Cha and Payaha Abdishayi, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk. Sheshaha, Sheshanaga, the couch of Vishnu. Cha, and Yastya, whose. Amshaha, plenary portion. Kalaha, and parts of the plenary portions. Sa, he. Nityananda Akya, known as Lord Nityananda. Ramaha, Lord Balarama. Sharanam, shelter. Mama, my. Astu, let there be. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. May Sri Nityananda Rama be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshana, Sheshanaga, and the Vishnus who lies on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Text number 8. Maya titi vyapi vaikunta loke Purneshvarye Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yasodbhati Sankarashanakyam Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. Maya Atite, beyond the material creation. Vyapi, all expanding. Vaikunta Loke, in Vaikunta Loka, the spiritual world. Purna Eshvarye, endowed with full opulence. Sri Chatuhu Vyuha Madhye, in the quadruple expansion. Vasudev, Sankarsana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Rupam, form. Yasya, whose. Udbhati, appears. Sankarshana Akyam, known as Sankarshana. Tam, to him. Srinityananda Ramam, to Lord Balarama, in the form of Lord Nityananda. Prapadye, I surrender. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, who is known as Sankarsana in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. Text number 9. Maya Bhartajanda Shangashrayanga Shete Sakshat Karanam Bhudi Madhye Yasye Kamsha Sripumanadi Devas Tam Sri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. Maya Bharta, the master of the illusory energy, Ajanda Sangha, of the multitude of universes, Ashraya, the shelter, Angaha, whose body, Sheti, he lies, Sakshat, directly, Karana Ambodhi Madhye, in the midst of the causal ocean, Yasya, whose, Eka Amshaha, one portion, Sri Puman, the Supreme Person, Adi Devaha, the original Purusha incarnation, Tam to him, Sri Nityananda Ramam, to Lord Balarama, in the form of Lord Nityananda, Prapadye, I surrender. Translation by His Divine Grace. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, whose partial representation called Karanodakshayi Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of the illusory energy, and the shelter of all the universes. Text number 10. Yasyam samsaha shilagarbhodashayi yannabhyabjam lokasanghatanalam lokasrashtuhu sutikadhama dhatus tam Sri Nityananda Ramam prapadye. Yasya, whose, amshaha, portion of a plenary portion, Srila Garbha Udashayi, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Yat of whom, Nabi Abjam, the navel lotus, Loka Sanghata, of the multitude of planets, Nalam, having a stem that is the resting place, Loka Srashtuhu, of Lord Brahma, creator of the planets, Sutikadhama, the birthplace, Dhatuhu, of the Creator, Tam, to him, Sri Nityananda Ramam, to Lord Balaram, in the form of Lord Nityananda, Prapadye, I surrender. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. Yasyam sam samsaha paratma kilanam Poshta Vishnur Bhati Dugdabdishayi Kshani Bharta Yat Kalasopyanantas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. This is text number 11. Yasya, whose, amshaha, a portion of a portion of a plenary portion. Para Atma, the super soul. Akilanam, of all living entities. Poshta, the maintainer. Vishnu, Vishnu, Bhati, appear, Dugda Abdishayi, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, Kshani Bharata, upholder of the earth, Yat, whose, Kala, portion of a portion, Sa, Api, certainly, Anantaha Sheshanaga, Tam, to him, Srinityananda Ramam, to Lord Balaram in the form of Lord Nityananda. Prapadye, I surrender. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Karanodakshaya Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sheshanaga is his further subpart. Mahavishnu Jagat Karata Mayaya Yasrijati Adaha Tasyavatara Evayam Advaita Charya Ishvaraha. Text 12. Mahavishnu, of the name Mahavishnu, the resting place of the efficient cause. Jagat Karta, the creator of the cosmic world. Mayaya, by the illusory energy. Ya, who? Srijati, creates. Ada, that universe. Tasya, his. Avatara, incarnation. Eva, certainly. Ayam, this. Advaita Acharya, of the name Advaita Acharya. Ishwara, the Supreme Lord, the resting place of the material cause. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Text number 13. Advaita Marinadvaita Acharyam Bhakti Samsanat Bhaktavataramisham Tam Advaita Charyamasraye. Advaitam, known as Advaita, Harina, with Lord Hari. Advaita, from being non-different. Acharyam, known as Acharya. Bhakti Samsanat, from the propagation of devotional service to Sri Krishna. Bhaktavataram, the incarnation as a devotee. Isham, to the Supreme Lord. Tam, to him. Advaita Acharyam, to Advaita Acharya. Ashraye, I surrender. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. Text number 14. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Panchatattva Atmakam, comprehending the 5 transcendental subject matters. Krishnam, unto Lord Krishna. Bhaktarupa, in the form of a devotee. Swarupakam, in the expansion of a devotee. Bhakta avataram, in the incarnation of a devotee. Bhakta akyam, known as a devotee. Namami, I offer my obeisances. Bhakta Shaktikam, the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who supplies energy to the devotee. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is none different from his features as a devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy. Text 15. Jayatam suratu pangor mamamanda mater gati matsarvasvapadam bhoju radha madana mohanau. Jayatam, all glory to Surato, most merciful or attached in conjugal love. Pangohu, of one who is lame. Mama, of me. Mandamate, foolish. Gati, refuge. Mat, my. Sarvasva, everything. Pada Ambojo, whose lotus feet. Radha Madana Mohano, Radharani and Madana Mohana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Glory to the all-merciful Radha and Madan Mohan. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadaha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastu Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prishtalibihi Sivyamano Smarami Divyat shining Vrinda Aranya in the forest of Vrindavana Kalpadruma desire tree Adaha beneath Shrimat most beautiful Ratna Agara in a temple of jewels Simha Asanastu sitting on a throne Shrimat very beautiful Radha Srimati Radharani Srila Govinda Devo and Sri Govinda Deva Prishta Alibihi by most confidential associates Sivyamano being served Smarami I remember. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In a temple of jewels in Vrindavana, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them. Text number 17. Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamshivata Tatashtitaham Karshan Venus Svaner Gopir Gopinath Sriyestuna Shriman, most beautiful, Rasa of the rasa dance, Rasa of the mellow, Arambhi, the initiator, Vamshivata, of the name Vamshivata, Tata, on the shore, Stitaha, standing, Karshan, attracting, Venu, of the flute, Svanai, by the sounds, Gopihi, the coward girls, Gopinata, Sri Gopinata, Shriye, benediction, Astu, let there be, Na, our. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Gopinata, who originated the transcendental mellow of the rasa dance, stands on the shore in Vamshivat and attracts the attention of the coward damsel with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. Text 18. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Brinda. Jaya Jaya, all glory. Sri Chaitanya to Sri Chaitanya. Jaya, all glory. Nityananda to Lord Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra, all glories to Advaita Acharya. Jaya, all glory. Gaura Bhakta Brinda, to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Acharya. And glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gadiyake Karye Cheno Yatmasat. 18 Charana Vandana Tire Morinat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita offers his respectful obeisances unto the three deities named of Vrindavana, named Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Sri Radha Govinda Deva, and Sri Radha Gopinatha. These three deities are the life and soul of the Bengali Vaishnavas or Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who have a natural aptitude for residing in Vrindavana. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas who follow strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu worship the divinity by chanting transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, a reciprocation of mellows, rasas, of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in loving service. These three deities are worshipped in three different stages of one's development. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scrupulously follow these principles of approach. Gaudiya Vaishnavas perceive the ultimate objective in Vedic hymns composed of 18 transcendental letters that adored Krishna as Madan Mohana, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha. Madan Mohana is he who charms Cupid, the god of love. Govinda is he who pleases the senses and the cows. And Gopijana Vallabha is the transcendental lover of the gopis. Krishna himself is called Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha, and countless other names as he plays in his different pastimes with his devotees. The three deities, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha, have very specific qualities. Worship of Madan Mohana is on the platform of reestablishing our forgotten relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, we are presently in utter ignorance of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Pangoho refers to one who cannot move independently by his own strength. And Mandamate is one who is less intelligent because he is too absorbed in materialistic activities. It is best for such persons not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to the Supreme. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we must therefore worship Madan Mohan so that he may attract us and nullify our attachment for material sense gratification. This relationship with Madan Mohan is necessary for neophyte devotees. When one wishes to render service to the Lord with strong attachment, one then worships Govinda on the platform of transcendental service. Govinda is the reservoir of all pleasures. When, by the grace of Krishna and the devotees, one reaches perfection in devotional service, he can appreciate Krishna as Gopijana Vallabha, the pleasure deity of the damsels of Braja. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this mode of devotional service in 3 stages, and therefore these worshipable deities were installed in Vrindavana by different Goswamis. They are very dear to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas there, who visit the temples at least once a day. Besides the temple of these 3 deities, many other temples have been established in Vrindavana, such as the temple of Radha Damodar of Jiva Goswami, the temple of Shyama Sundar of Shyamananda Goswami, the temple of Gokulananda of Lokanath Goswami, and the temple of Radha Raman of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. There are 7 principal temples over 400 years old that are the most important of the 5,000 temples now existing in Vrindavana. Gaudiya indicates the part of India between the southern side of the Himalaya mountains and the northern part of the Vindhya hills, which is called Aryavarta, or the land of the Aryas. This portion of India is divided into 5 parts or provinces: Pancha Gauda Desha, Saraswata, Kashmir and Punjab, Kanyakubja, Uttar Pradesh, including the modern city of Lucknow, Madhya Gauda, Madhya Pradesh, Maithila, Bihar and part of Bengal, and Utkal, part of Bengal and the whole of Orissa. Bengal is sometimes called Gauda Desha, partly because it forms a portion of Maithila, and partly because the capital of the Hindu king, Raj Lakshman Sena, was known as Gauda. This old capital later came to be known as Gaudapura and gradually Mayapur. The devotees of Orissa are called Udiyas. The devotees of Bengal are called Gaudiyas. And the devotees of southern India are called as Dravidi devotees. As there are 5 provinces in Aryavarta, so Dakshinatya, southern India, is also divided to 5 provinces, which are called Pancha Dravida. The 4 Vaishnavacharyas, who are the great authorities of the 4 Vaishnava disciplic successions, as well as Sripad Shankaracharya of the Mayavada school, appeared in the Pancha Dravida provinces. Amongst the 4 Vaishnavacharyas, who are all accepted by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Ramanujacharya appeared in the southern part of Andhra Pradesh at Mahabhuta Puri. Sri Madhvacharya appeared at Pajakam near Vimanagiri in the district of Mangalore. Sri Vishnu Swami appeared at Pandya, and Sri Nimbarka appeared at Mungera Patana in the extreme south. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the chain of disciplic succession from Madhvacharya, but the Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis, who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. To distinguish themselves clearly from the Tattvavadi branch of Madhva's descendants, the Vaishnavas of Bengal prefer to call themselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Madhvacharya is also known as Sri Gauda Purnananda, and therefore the name Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is quite suitable for the disciplic succession of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja, accepted initiation in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Haribol.
Would somebody else like to continue reading? Or any
Prabhupada, I think
comments?
what we'll do is we've opened up the floor now for any questions to be directed towards you, the speaker. So if
Okay.
anybody has any questions, because we're at 9:56, in the class. So we'll end up the class with questions and answers, and then move forward till next Saturday and Sunday with our Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam classes. So the floor is open. Please, others, please bring forth your questions or comments.
Any comments, anyone?
Yes, I do have a comment. Thank you for the reading, by the way. It was so excellently done, first of all. And then secondly, it shows in detail how the Vaishnava line of disciplic succession is respected. And it is a very serious opportunity for all of us as devotees to take up the process of Krishna consciousness according to Prabhupada's profound presentation of this great literature. And this is the idea of protecting the legacy of Srila Prabhupada. There's a lot of tendency to speculate on this philosophy by many people, or for some people to think, oh, look at how smart I am. Now I've become introduced to this great literature. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter into a special position of teaching others. But the main thing is for us to clearly hear this philosophy from our spiritual master. And in this way, our Bhakti Lata Bija, the plant of devotion, will grow and fructify into love of God eventually. I know that I'm reading forward right now. I've started the reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita for the third time in the last few years. And I'm in Madhya Lila, the discussions between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, where Lord Chaitanya is asking Ramananda Roy all the different aspects of love of God and how the devotee should perceive himself in that role as a servant of the Supreme Lord. So there's a great excitement in this literature as it will reveal the highest levels of Krishna consciousness available to the conditioned souls in this universe. So this is a great opportunity. Yes, Rakesh Sharma, Ram Raghava, please.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful reading. I have a question for Yashodanandan Prabhu. In the first line of the last paragraph, it says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the chain of disciplic succession from Madhva Acharya, but the Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis, who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. So why is there a difference? Why do the Vaishnavas not accept the Tattvavadis? And why do they claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya?
This is a long discussion, basically. The line of disciplic succession for Lord Chaitanya was first mentioned in the history of our Sampradaya by an acharya named Kavi Karnapur in a book called Gora Ganodesha Dipika, in which he gives the whole list of the acharyas, and there's a few of the acharyas there mentioned from the Madhva line. And then he mentions Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Lord Chaitanya. Subsequent to that, the next mention of the disciplic succession in our Sampradaya was done by Baladev Vidyabhushana in a book called Prameya Ratnavali, in which he gives the same line of disciplic succession that was given by Kavi Karnapur, and he expands. This is in the first chapter of the book, Prameya Ratnavali. Now, the Tattvavadis, they're followers of Madhvacharya, but the Gaudiya Sampradaya distinguishes itself specifically after Lord Chaitanya, that the Madhvas are basically worshiping Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana in these different aspects, whereas the Gaudiya Sampradaya worships primarily Lord Radha Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and Lord Krishna. So there are some technical differences, and basically, there have been a lot of discussions in the last 200 years amongst different scholars analyzing the list of disciplic succession that have been given by Kavi Karnapur and Baladevi Vibhushana. And by the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he did some writings to the effect that those Gaudiya Vaishnavas who do not accept the line of disciplic succession that has been given by Baladevi Vibhushana are the greatest enemies of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So it is obvious that by the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that there were certain sections of the Gaudiya Sampradaya that did not accept the actual line that it has been given by acharyas. So at least for now, that's all I can comment upon. But basically, Balavidya Bhushana reconciled the teachings of the Tattvavadis or the Madhva followers with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Somebody would have to read the first chapter of the Pramaya Ratnavali where he explains this in some Sanskrit terms, describing the 9 basic fundamental principles of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So there's a lot of technical points here. I mean, the teachings of Madhvas, like, for example, Prabhupada mentions in one purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Madhvas and Ramanujas are very expert to break the teeth in the arguments of the Mayavadis, especially the Madhvas. Their whole disciplic succession is entirely based upon fighting all the arguments of the Mayavadis. So like that, that's about all I can say for now. So I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Many of our customers are using the
Any other questions?
Ram Raghava, could you read the question from Tattva Darshana, please, for the speaker?
Sure. Tattva Darshana Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, please accept my respectful obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. In our Sampradaya, our Acharya mostly stress on worship of Krishna. So can we in our temples Vishnu Tattva worship, do Vishnu Tattva worship? Is there any of your Acharyas from Gaudiya Sampradaya who worship Vishnu Tattva? Inquisitive to know. Kindly enlighten on this, Prabhu.
Well, whether any other Gaudiya Acharyas established Vishnu worship, for our purpose, Prabhupada did that. For those of us that know, during Prabhupada's manifested presence, he installed Sitaram deities in Washington, D.C., USA. Most of the temples were all Radha Krishna worship, Gaurnitai worship, Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra worship, but he did establish deities of Sitaram. So it is, Vishnu Tattva deities are not against the teachings of our acharyas. Just that the particular mood or the particular inclination of all of our Gaudiya acharyas is the worship of Radha Krishna. Now, the Madhvas have a peculiar doctrine because they claim that Radharani's name is not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada deals with that in one purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a verse in the 10th canton of the Bhagavatam, Anayaradito Nunan Bhagavan Aririshvara, that the gopi that left the assembly of the other gopis to leave, that was Radharani, according to our acharyas. But the Madhvas, they don't have this worship of Radharani in their sampradaya. But it is perfectly acceptable to worship Vishnu Tattva deities. Prabhupada mentions that in so many different purports, the worship of Sitaram, worship of Narasimha, worship of Lord Narasimha, that is a Vishnu Tattva deity. Prabhupada introduced that with the prayers Namaste Narasimhaya, and also Narasimha deities. So it is not that it is contrary to the teachings of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, just that the main emphasis is the worship of Radha Krishna. But we're not to think that worship of Narasimha or Sitaram is bogus. That is not proper thinking. Hare Krishna. Any other comments about that?
Balaram, please. Question
Go
for
ahead, Balaram Prabhu.
Yes, we have the beautiful worship of Sitaram and Lakshman and Hanumanji in our temple in Mumbai, the Juhu Beach Temple. Beautiful worship there.
Good. Excellent. Does that answer your question, Tattvadarshinaha? Go ahead, Vishwakarma.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about at home. Like, what would you recommend for worship at a home temple and to minimize offenses? You know, because some devotees, they install Radha Krishna deities, etc. And I know there's a very high standard for that. What would you recommend as a format for devotees to follow in terms of home deity worship?
Prabhupada recommended worship of Gaur-Nitai, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, or worship of Panchatattva. Because Prabhupada says that those deities, they do not take offense. Not that this is a license to make offenses, but it is more appropriate, basically, than full-fledged. I mean, I know that many devotees, they keep these figurines that are not installed deities. They're just these little still deities, like deities, but they're not like full-fledged deities that are installed and they're kept on a shelf. That's different. That's a different level. But Prabhupada was not very much in favor of that. But many people do that these days. And I know that a lot of Hindus, basically, you know, it's the mentality that the devotee has when we worship Krishna is we worship Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana. Prabhupada has stated that many times in different letters and other teachings, that we don't worship, in the beginning, we don't worship Krishna in the mood of the Raganuga inhabitants of Vrindavan. Although it is Radha Krishna is worshipped in a sense of veneration and respect, like Lakshmi Narayana. That is the understanding. But if one is fixed up enough and regulated enough that he can do the regular deity worship, he could worship Lord Jagannath also. But it depends on the situation, time, place, and circumstances. But of all the things that Prabhupada recommend, the chanting is the most important. One cannot neglect to chant his rounds on the plea that I'm worshiping the deity. That is not the correct understanding. As a matter of fact, just recently I was looking at the Easy Journey to Other Planets. And within that book, there is reference to the 5 most important principles of devotional service taught by Lord Chaitanya. Residing in a holy place and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting. And the most important is the chanting of Hare Krishna. So if one has a household and can worship the deity, that's nice, but it depends on the standard, the time, place, the circumstances, the situation. So that's why the worship of Gaur-Nitai and Panchatattva is recommended. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, you know, when we first opened the Hamilton Temple back in 1970, it was really we had a house where we were renting, a few of us, a band house type of thing, and then Damaraj and Gunamayi and a guy named Minakatan, I can't remember his wife's name. They showed up from Buffalo into Hamilton, and they started a so-called temple, you know, which was a preaching center. And basically, we used the Panchatattva painting and a picture of Prabhupada as the spiritual master on the altar. That was basically it. And we offered our food to in that way and did kirtan in that way. And it was really quite blissful and seemed quite appropriate for us. So I'm just saying it traditionally, the way the movement was spreading was with the use of Panchatattva. We used to have a Sankirtan bus. I had what's called the blue bus. And I traveled with a guy, Bibi Govinda, a fellow Kashi Ram, and Giri Jadava from Toronto. Different devotees traveled with me for about a year and a half in the bus. At the same time that Vishnu John was traveling, and Prabhupada mentions that we were traveling in these buses before Radha Damodar. And all we did was we had an altar with the Panchatattva and a picture of Prabhupada on the altar, and that was our method of serving Lord Chaitanya, the deity, offering our food to Lord Chaitanya like that on the bus. And it was quite blissful and ecstatic. So I'm saying, I think that a simple Lord Chaitanya Panchatattva painting and picture of Prabhupada is sufficient to have a simple and really a non-offensive approach to deity worship. We have Venkat Bhakta Venkat has a question or a comment. Maybe you could express it to the speaker, Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna.
Sure. Hare Krishna. So I think Yashodananda Prabhu already mentioned this point from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.24, 4th canto, 24th chapter, 45th verse. So Prabhupada says in the purport, Radha Krishna cannot be approached by the neophyte devotees. Therefore, temple worship according to regulative principles is offered to Lakshmi Narayan. Although there may be a Radha Krishna vigraha or form, the worship of the neophyte devotees is acceptable as Lakshmi Narayan worship. So.
Nice. Very nice.
Also, I would like to mention that Tattva Darshana Prabhu responded and said, yes, Prabhu, that answered his question. He wanted to thank you.
Okay.
Before you renew Amazon Prime, watch this. Look, I love Amazon Prime. Free 2-day shipping is great. And like everyone else, I enjoy not knowing how much it actually costs. Well, guess what? It isn't free to move items from one location to another, and that cost gets baked into the price you pay. Here's how it works. While you shop on Amazon, Capital One Shopping automatically goes to work in the background. If a better offer is found, a notification appears instantly. It shows you the final price of the item, including sales tax, shipping costs, and notifies you of the delivery date. Same product, just cheaper. Sometimes you need your order in 2 days, and in those instances, Amazon Prime is the answer. Though the reality is that if you waited just a few more days for even half of your orders, the monthly savings from Capital One Shopping would pay for your year-long Prime subscription. Last year, Capital One Shopping saved its customers over $160 million. And with just a few clicks, you can start saving too. The best part, it's completely free. Do yourself and your wallet a favor and get Capital One Shopping here.
There's a letter from Srila Prabhupada in 1971 where he discusses this issue. And Srila Prabhupada says, your husband's letter along with yours is very encouraging, and I've answered it separately. I'm so glad to know that both of you are enhancing your Krishna consciousness by mutual cooperation. May God bless you. You're all helping me by abiding the orders of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and he will be pleased upon you who are his grand spiritual children. So this program to open a branch in Israel has got all my approval. Yes, you can set up a Guru Gauranga altar, and if you can offer full arti ceremony, that is nice. Panchatattva are most merciful. There's a lot of these kind of letters that Prabhupada wrote in the beginning with regards to the worship of Panchatattva. So another time Prabhupada says, yes, you may install either the Jagannath deities, the Panchatattva, or if you are very serious to engage in deity worship program, you may have both, according to direction and advice of your GBC man. But this deity worship is very serious program, and it must be kept to the utmost highest standard and never allowed to be neglected. So if you are willing and able to initiate such program in Baltimore Center, I have no objection. Another place Prabhupada says, this is from a letter to Korandar on the 31st of March, 1973. There's no need of adding further deities. Once installed, it cannot be changed. Do not make it childish. Too much addition of deities will encumber us. At first, either Panchatattva or Gauritai deities may be installed, taking care that there is sufficient space. There's no need to consult with me for these installations. The local president can decide whether the circumstances are fortunate. So there's a lot of references to Srila Prabhupada allowing the worship of Gauritai and the worship of Krishnaya, Krishna Chaitanya, Namne Gauratvishe Namaha, Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam, Bhaktarupa Swarupakam, Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam, Namami Bhakta Shaktikam, Ajanulam Vitabujo Kanakavadatu, Sankirtane Kapitaru Kamalaya Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yuga Dharma Palu Bande Sri Krishna Chaitana Nityanando Bande Sri Krishna Chaitana Nityanando Gadodito Gadodaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shamdo Tamonudo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama.
Before we get started, I wanted to remind you that we are collecting email addresses for our upcoming newsletter that we'll be releasing to all of you and to anyone in your network that you want to receive our information from. Because in light of many things that are happening globally on many levels, our message is a very important message to help human society in its quest to find peace and happiness in this world, which are something that is not available even in the previous movement that we were involved in. As you all know, Jiva Goswami. And recently I've been posting. I use different medias for whatever reason. I've been on them for 13, 14 years. So it's something you do at least to reach a few people. I tell them that we really are very selective in who we have in our classes, that we want people that are specifically focused on Srila Prabhupada as guru, both Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru. And oftentimes we get people that like even today, I had someone say that I can only accept a guru that is in a physical body. And they asked me that question, how can you accept Prabhupada when he's no longer with us. And I explained to him that Prabhupada is still present with us in his Vani incarnation, and that Prabhupada is also present in his instructions to all of us, his personal explanations of Krishna consciousness. And I've been reading this letter to us recently. You should invite, my advice to you is to go on chanting Hare Krishna and read my books very carefully. So he wrote this to a devotee in Toronto. And you should memorize my books and repeat what I say. So, I mean, that's the theme of our group, is to thoroughly understand Prabhupada's teachings and repeat them as he's presented it to us, to other people, so they can also feel the potency of Krishna consciousness coming down in disciplic succession properly, not by mental speculation. I'll just finish off by saying that I think all of you recently saw some kind of video from one of the people in that former movement that we were members of. And everything that they were saying was coming specifically from the mental platform. It wasn't coming from Prabhupada's books or from his letters or from his instructions, but it was coming strictly from their interpretation of what they think it is. So this type of mental speculation has caused a lot of trouble globally for everyone. And, all of us are going to avoid that by remembering to always repeat carefully or learn carefully what Prabhupada has spoken and repeat it to others like he has explained it to us. So we'll go ahead and enjoy the class. I'm going to invite our speaker this evening, Yashodanandana Prabhu, a good friend of ours and a great devotee of Srila Prabhupada, to carry on with the class. Hare Krishna.
So welcome, everybody. We will repeat some invocation verses, and then we will resume our reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadishatarine Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudodaye Pushpavantu Chitru Shamdu Tamonudu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading from the original 1974 Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. All translations, synonyms, and purports and commentaries by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. We are reading from the Adi Lila.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight.
welcome everyone to our Wednesday night Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We're reading from the first volume of Adi Leela. And before we start the session, I want to, first of all, welcome all the new people that are joining us tonight for the first time. And we want to let everyone know that we are running this program 3 times a week. First of all, we want to welcome everyone this evening, Wednesday night, Chaitanya Charitamrita class. And we want to encourage you to invite any people that you know that are serious about taking up the mission of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and are serious to participate with us. They're more than welcome to join these classes on Wednesdays, on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in America and Canada. And on Sunday, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is also at 10 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time here in America and Canada. I wanted to mention that we have a new devotee coming here to the Hamilton Hare Krishna Center in Canada. And he mentioned to me the other day that everywhere he goes, he takes the Srimad Bhagavatam with him. He said, sometimes I'm held up for meetings or luncheons. So instead of waiting without doing anything, he has his Bhagavatam with him, and he constantly reads the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the high point of his day. And he spends, although he's a new devotee, he spends many hours a day studying the Srimad Bhagavatam meticulously, and he attends all the classes that we're conducting with the Prabhupada Disciples Association. He attends them all with great enthusiasm. And when he travels in the car, he told me now he's subscribed to the Prabhupada TV network. And he likes to put on the classes that we have posted on YouTube and listen to them. And I've been also listening to the classes for the last few days while working in the kitchen and going about my service. And I'm also finding them very enlivening, especially how we're conducting them as a reflection of our commitment to Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami's original unadulterated books. So if you have friends that are interested in Krishna consciousness and want to learn from our association how to be a devotee, how to become fixed up in devotional service, and hopefully at the end of your life go back home, back to Godhead, please have them subscribe to our YouTube channel, which Vinkat has. If you need any information in regards to that, you can please reach out to him or to me, and we'll be happy to share that with you. And finally, I wanted to mention before we get into the class, 2 things. We're running the class at an hour and a half right now because it's part of our schedule for Prabhupada TV for the launch. Now, if someone is inconvenienced with the hour and a half length, we understand that. If you want to stay, if you can only stay for an hour, there's no harm. Whatever amount of time you can commit to the class, that's to everyone's benefit. And we'll be prompt with the dealing of the class to try to fit it in to our scheduled programming, which is going to be released in the next week or so. So that's one thing. And the last thing is, if you have any questions or any points that you want to bring up, please write them down during the class, make some notes, and present the questions to the speaker at the end of the class. And that way we can stay focused on topic. I know that we have many questions that are coming up to us during the week because of many things. If you're studying social media, you'll see all kinds of issues that are coming about in terms of the Vaishnava philosophy. But here at this class, we're specifically focusing on Srila Prabhupada and his reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So furthermore, let us request our speaker, Yashodanandana Prabhu, to begin the Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunata Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, welcome everybody to this reading and discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are reading from the original 1974 version, a non-adulterated, non-edited version. Just trying to focus here the verse we had last time. Chapter 1, Adilila, text number 53. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Page 51. Aham eva samevagre nanyadyat sadasat param paschadaham yaditascha yo vashishyata susmyaham. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Asam, existed. Eva, only. Agre, before the creation. Na, never. Anyat, anything else. Yat, which. Sat, the effect. Asat, the cause. Param, the supreme. Paschat, at the end. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Yat, which. Etat, this creation. Cha, also. Ya, who. Avashishita, remains. Sa, that. Asmi, am. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Prior to the cosmic creation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. Purport by His Divine Grace. Aham means I. Therefore, the speaker who is saying aham, I, must have his own personality. The Mayavadi philosophers interpret this word aham as referring to the impersonal Brahman. These Mayavadis are very proud of their grammatical knowledge, but any person who has actual knowledge of grammar can understand that aham means I, and that I refers to a personality. Therefore, the personality of Godhead speaking to Brahma uses aham while describing his own transcendental form. Aham has a specific meaning. It is not the vague term that can be whimsically interpreted. Aham, when spoken by Krishna, refers to the supreme personality of Godhead and nothing else. Before the creation and after its dissolution, only the supreme personality of Godhead and its associates exist. There is no existence of the material elements. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Vasudevo Vaidamagra Asinna Brahma Nacha Sankaraha. The meaning of this mantra is that before creation, there is no existence of Brahma or Shiva, for only Vishnu existed. Vishnu exists in his abode, the Vaikunthas. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, and so on each of them, Vishnu resides with his associates and his paraphernalia. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that although the creation is periodically dissolved, there is another abode which is never dissolved. The word creation refers to the material creation, because in the spiritual world, everything exists eternally, and there is no creation or dissolution. The Lord indicates herein that before the material creation, he existed in fullness with all transcendental opulences, including all strength, all wealth, all beauty, all knowledge, all fame, and all renunciation. If one thinks of a king, he automatically thinks of his secretaries, ministers, military commanders, palaces, and so on. Since a king has such opulences, one can simply try to imagine the opulence of the supreme personality of Godhead. When the Lord says aham, therefore it is to be understood that he exists with full potency, including all opulences. The word yat refers to Brahman, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. In the Brahma Samhita 540, it is said, Tad Brahmanishkalamanantam ashesha bhutam. The Brahman effulgence expands unlimitedly. Just as the sun is a localized planet, although the sunshine expands unlimitedly from that source, so the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead, but his effulgence of energy, Brahman, expands unlimitedly. From that Brahman energy, the creation appears, just as a cloud appears in sunshine. From the cloud comes rain, from the rain comes vegetation, and from the vegetation come fruits and flowers, which are the basis of subsistence for many other forms of life. Similarly, the effulgent bodily luster of the Supreme Lord is the cause of the creation of infinite universes. The Brahman effulgence is impersonal, but the cause of that energy is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From him, in his abode, the Vaikuntha, this Brahma Jyoti emanates. He is never impersonal. Since they cannot understand the source of the Brahman energy, impersonalists mistakenly choose to think this impersonal Brahman, the ultimate or absolute goal. But as stated in the Upanishads, one has to penetrate the impersonal effulgence to see the face of the Supreme Lord. If one desires to reach the source of the sunshine, he has to travel through the sunshine to reach the sun, and then meet the predominant deity there. The absolute truth is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, as the Srimad Bhagavatam explains. Sat means effect, Asat means cause, and Param means to the ultimate truth, which is transcendental to cause and effect. The cause of the creation is called the Mahatattva, or total material energy, and its effect is the creation itself. But neither cause nor effect existed in the beginning. They emanated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as did the energy of time. This is stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadyasya Yataha. The source of birth of the cosmic manifestation, or Mahatattva, is the personality of Godhead. This is confirmed throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita 10:8, the Lord says, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the fountainhead of all emanations. The material cosmos, being temporary, is sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest, but its energy emanates from the Supreme Absolute Lord. Before the creation, there was neither cause nor effect, but the Supreme Personality of God had existed with his full opulence and energy. The word Paschadaham indicates that the Lord exists after the dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. When the material world is dissolved, the Lord still exists personally in the Vaikunthas. During the creation, the Lord also exists as he is in the Vaikunthas, and he also exists as the super soul within the material universes. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 537. Goloka eva nivasati. Although he is perfectly and eternally present in Goloka Vrindavana, in Vaikuntha, he is nevertheless all-pervading, akilatma bhutaha. The all-pervading feature of the Lord is called the super soul. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Aham Krishnasya jagataha prabhavaha. The cosmic manifestation is a display of the energy of the Supreme Lord. The material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, display the inferior energy of the Lord, and the living entities are his superior energy. Since the energy of the Lord is not different from him, in fact, everything that exists is Krishna in his impersonal feature. Sunshine, sunlight, and heat are not different from the sun, and yet simultaneously they are distinct energies of the sun. Similarly, the cosmic manifestation and the living entities are energies of the Lord, and they are considered to be simultaneously one with and different from him. The Lord therefore says, I am everything, because everything is his energy and is therefore not different from here. Yo avashishyeta soasmiyaham indicates that the Lord is the balance that exists after the dissolution of the creation. The spiritual manifestation never vanishes. It belongs to the internal energy of the Supreme Lord and exists eternally. When the external manifestation is withdrawn, the spiritual activities in Goloka and the rest of the Vaikunthas continue unrestricted by material time, which has no existence in the spiritual world. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yad gatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. The abode from which no one returns to this material world is the supreme abode of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 15:6. So this is a very important verse that Krishnadas Kaviraj is quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the second canto, from the Chatushloki Bhagavata. And it is described in the Chandogya Upanishad that before the beginning of creation, only Lord Vishnu existed. This is explained by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in so many ways in his various books. Here, Srila Prabhupada is making a very clear analysis of the position of the material world and the spiritual world. Very important point. Prabhupada would often discuss with various classes of philosophers and religionists, and he would always explain that the Vedas and the Srimad Bhagavatam are the topmost literature to understand the science of God. It's called Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, the scientific explanation of the kingdom of God. In December of 1973, Srila Prabhupada was in Bombay at the home of Kartikeya Mahadevya, who was a life member and a very prominent manager of the Mafatlal group of industries in India. So many people came to see Srila Prabhupada. And one individual came, he was some kind of an Indian gentleman, but he was a Christian type. So Prabhupada was preaching that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the source of everything, the Supreme. And this man started to argue with Prabhupada that we cannot accept Krishna as God. Prabhupada said, well, if Krishna is not God, then who is? What is the description? Where does God live? What does he do? What are his activities? Can you describe? Of course, the man had no explanation. So we do not claim that we are better than any other group. What we say is that the literature which we are presenting, which Srila Prabhupada is presenting, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, these are the topmost explanation of the science of God, the position of the living entities, the material world, why there are so many varieties of living entities, what is in the spiritual world, how does one reach the spiritual world, what are the activities in the spiritual world, what is the position of Lord Vishnu in his various expansion as Narayana. There are so many different topics. It is not enough just to say, well, God is great. Well, that's nice. That's good. One should praise God like that. But the Bhagavad Gita, and specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam, it tells us how God great is. This is the explanation. We see in these purports that Prabhupada makes so many points. For example, Prabhupada is explaining here on page 53, when the material world is dissolved, the Lord still exists personally in the Vaikunthas. During the creation, the Lord also exists as he is in the Vaikunthas, and he also exists as the super soul within the material universes. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Goloka eva nivasati. Although he's perfectly and eternally present in Goloka Vrindavan in Vaikuntha, he is nevertheless all.
These are the top 5 questions I get asked about shooting and editing cinematic videos with a smartphone. Number 1.
Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the mission of Srila Prabhupada to deliver the message of Lord Chaitanya to every telephone and TV screen on the earth. Of course, I'm referring to the fact that nowadays the opportunity to give people Krishna consciousness has expanded through technology. And this technology, when it's dovetailed properly in the service of Krishna, becomes a great boon for the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. This is the idea behind the launch of our upcoming TV programming on YouTube, Prabhupada TV. This Prabhupada TV will be a daily schedule of Prabhupada-focused events and teachings to attract a variety of listeners or viewers who are interested in learning about Krishna consciousness, and for those that are already devotees of Lord Chaitanya and of Srila Prabhupada, to get the purified message of Krishna consciousness as was taught by Srila Prabhupada to all of us in his Vani incarnation. This is something that's greatly needed in the current times that we're in, because of the chaos that we find in the Kali Yuga atmosphere that is permeating everywhere on many, many different levels. So again, we want to thank everybody. I know that gradually this program will expand in due course of time as we continue to educate people on the actual instructions. And to be clear, we are not interested in promoting anyone else except Srila Prabhupada as Diksha and Siksha Guru for all of his followers and disciples. This is much different than other groups who have various other approaches to the preaching work of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. And we are confident that Srila Prabhupada is the pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya, and he has proven it over and over again in the extraordinary compilation of instructions in his books, his lectures, and in his letters. So we would like to move forward with the program today. We're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we started at the beginning, and we've been diligently going through step by step, word by word, to get the absolute truth from the lips of the pure devotee. So I'd like to turn the class over to my wonderful scholarly godbrother, who's really a blessing for all of us, Yashodananda Prabhu. Haribo Yashodananda, glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Do we have a kirtan, or we have already had kirtan?
Yes, sure. I'll play it now.
Okay, do you want me to start the reading, or are you going to have kirtan?
Self-employed in Canada? Protect your small business with Zinsurance. Zinsurance policies start at only $19 per month. Trusted by 250,000 Canadian small businesses. Save up to 35% today.
Did you know that animals listen to dominating tactics because they're scared? If you want to have a mindful relationship with your animal, then you might want to
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatham Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatham Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everybody to this reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will be reading from the original 1974 non-adulterated, non-edited version of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. All translations, synonyms, purports, and commentaries are from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. We'll be reading from Adi Leela, chapter 1, text number 55. Is that correct, Venkat?
Yes, that's right.
Is Vishwakarma Prabhu here yet?
He doesn't have the link. He needs the link by email.
No, looks like he's joined. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Vishwakarma Prabhu can do the introductions.
Thank you. Here's that. Yeah, we don't have some of the links for people in their emails. So we'll carry on and move basically it. We want to Jai Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all its members. We want to welcome you to this evening's program at Prabhupada Disciples Association. Our membership is expanding, and we have a lot of quality people coming forward these days to join us. So we want to keep encouraging people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So in case they miss the class for whatever reason, they can still catch it online later by being subscribed to the Prabhupada TV YouTube channel. Our Prabhupada Disciples Association group page on Facebook is expanding at the rate of approximately, as I mentioned last week, 100 people per week. So that is a very good, encouraging sign that people want to voluntarily become members of this particular group and its position as disciples. 100 people per week. So that is a very good, encouraging sign that people want to voluntarily become members of this particular group and its position as disciples or aspiring disciples of Srila Prabhupada as Diksha Guru. Overall, the response to the classes that we've established are very good. We're getting feedback from people around the world calling us and appreciating what we're doing. So that is also encouraging, and we'll keep on with the program as such. The idea is that we are presenting Prabhupada as Diksha Guru, and there is, of course, a lot of controversy about that amongst some people, but we're basing this on Prabhupada living in his sound vibration Vani incarnation. And so because of technology, he's been able to be captured in this method, and this is enabling us to all of us to be able to listen carefully to his instructions in his books, in his lectures, and other recorded methods and written documents that are being proliferated around the world. So this is a great mission and an extension of the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. So we're going to move along with the class. If anyone has any questions during the class, please write them down. And remember, we're doing this as part of our programming for the Prabhupada Disciples Association TV channel. And so as a result, we're scheduled for an hour and a half. We're not, I just wanted to say that the show or our work is not being censored or regulated like the way things are in the modern world. Everything you do is censored these days. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you do, they remove you. So it's an open forum amongst our group. But if you can write your questions down during the class. Otherwise, if there are no questions, we'll either keep reading or.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this.
Hare Krishna, it's time. Welcome everyone. So maybe Vishwakarma Prabhu can do the introduction. I think microphone is off, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ram Raghava Prabhu, for your participation in the Prabhupada Disciples Association network. And listening to Prabhupada chanting there I have this rather nice set of headphones that I've been using for the class. So they give a very high level fidelity sound. And to hear Prabhupada play the mridanga is extraordinary. That is another symptom of his multiple exquisite talents. but he was also an amazing musician of the kirtan and the purity of his singing and the expertise of his playing the mridanga, along with, they double-tracked some of the early recordings so that he would also play the cartel. So he would play the cartel, play the harmonium, play the mridanga, and also do the singing, because a lot of the people were not really musicians at all, and they couldn't keep time, they couldn't keep melody, they just were not trained as such. And Prabhupada was an expert musician, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada and his transcendental bhajans and kirtans. Amazing. This is part of Prabhupada's legacy. And before we have the class with His Grace, Yashodanandana Prabhu, I wanted to just reiterate what, for the new people that are attending, especially, so that they can understand why we're doing this. Because really you have to ask the question to yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the reason behind it? What's the motive? And according to our scriptures, the motive of the devotee is to please the spiritual master. That's basically the bottom line. And if you can please Yashat Prasadad Bhagavat Prasado, if you can please the spiritual master by your service, then that will get his mercy. And by doing that, then you get the mercy of Krishna. No other way. So this is a very deep philosophical point that all of our members in this group understand. That's why they're here. And that's why we have the name Prabhupada Disciples Association. This is not a group that's focusing on anyone else except Srila Prabhupada as Diksha and Siksha Guru for each one of us. Be very clear on that, especially for the new people. The two ways that we're protecting Prabhupada's legacy. Now, this legacy, he offered the legacy to all of his disciples. In other words, says, you carry my legacy, you protect it. And that legacy comes in the form of his books, first of all. If the books are unchanged, we have so many different quotes, hundreds and hundreds of quotes to support what we're saying. And if anybody's interested in getting some support for that based on Prabhupada's teachings, they can reach out to us away from the class today, and we'll be happy to supply them with all of the verifiable quotes that specify that Prabhupada's books should not be changed in any shape or form after he had made specific approvals of the additions that were being done. Now, I know most of our members here are fully aware of this, and it doesn't matter what author it is or what artist it is. Most people that produce some kind of literature don't expect other people to come and change one word. That's the way it is. It's not just something we're saying or that Prabhupada, this is common sense. You do not change the words or creation of the creator. You just leave it. And there are all kinds of laws that restrict that. There are copyright laws that restrict that of change. Now, in this particular case of the movement that Prabhupada formed, they do not follow copyright laws. We have proof of this. We have been to Washington. We have all of the copyrights in our archives now, in our computers, that show exactly what the copyrights for what books are. And if you change anything in these books, you have to go to Washington and make all the different changes specifically and register them with the Copyright Office. Otherwise, it's not legal. That's legacy. We're talking about Prabhupada's legacy here. And it's very important for us to realize that first, his legacy is contained in his books. Right? When people start to change the books, we use this as a quote. I won't get into the details right now. I saw a video the other day. Someone was speaking about it. And what do they say? Just try to find out the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Offer obeisance to him and render service unto him. The self-realized soul the self-realized soul can deliver the truth because they have seen the truth. When we originally got the Gita, it was he has seen the truth. This has been changed or altered in order to justify 150 gurus that are in the movement that he formed. 150. And out of 150 gurus, 60 have fallen down, and at least 25% of them right now are embroiled in all kinds of scandal. So, legacy, don't change Prabhupada's books. So our legacy is we're protecting Prabhupada's books, and we plan to go ahead and print Prabhupada's books in his original format moving forward, and that's yet to be announced. Number 2, we promote Prabhupada in his legacy by recruiting people to become Prabhupada disciples. Very important point. We're recruiting people. Now, we don't demand that people become Prabhupada disciples through initiation. That is not our platform here. Our platform is to present the philosophy that Prabhupada gave for them to study, for them to follow, and if they have a desire to take it more seriously, to become a disciple, they can approach us. We're forming a Brahminical council. And that Brahminical council will be comprised of senior godbrothers who are of the same disposition. We're all of the same disposition, and we'll have a system that you'll be able to see in our constitution that will explain how this person can achieve initiation as a Prabhupada disciple, going through our rather strict protocol for them to get this initiation. It's not just something you just throw around. You can be this and you can become. No, it's a great honor to be a Prabhupada disciple, and we want to respect that legacy. Why? Because when we all leave this body, which will be within a few years, who's going to be here to preserve Prabhupada's legacy? The disciples of these new gurus? Are they the ones? Or are they looking at, are they protecting Prabhupada's legacy? No. It's all about them and their gurus and their samadhi tombs and their books. They've even stopping the members of that movement that he formed from selling Prabhupada's books in the temples. In some temples, they don't allow the devotees to preach from these books. If you have this book, they make you take it out of the temple. You got to show this one. This one, not that one. This one has 4,000 changes in it. Is that editing? That's changing. This is not protecting Prabhupada's legacy. So that's basically it. I just wanted everyone to know that this is the basis of why we get together, why we're called the Prabhupada Disciples Association, and what our mandate is as group, as members of this group. That we're presenting Prabhupada's original books to all the new people that want to study, and at the same time, we're telling them, if you become serious and you want to get initiated, We'll consider it that you may take initiation and become a Prabhupada disciple in due course of time. Simple. So that when we leave, there are people here that can carry on with the legacy. One last point before we begin the class. The last class, there was an issue that was brought up about the chat, which we thought was a good point to consider, because some people were getting distracted by the chat, in that sometimes people in the chat may make comments which are not related to the class or to the speaker's comments in the class or to the chapter or section of the books we're reading from. So what we're going to do is, you can continue to, all the members of the class, you can continue to write your chat messages in, and the chat messages that are related to the class, Vincott will read them out to the speaker during the question and answer period, and then he can answer them. The other questions, which may not be related to the topics that night, will be cataloged, and then Vincott will send you an email or a message and say, whatever questions you have, you can reach out to our group and send it to Yashoda or myself or other people in Ram Raghava or other people that are participating in this with us. And then we can give them a further explanation of what and answers we consider to be appropriate for them based on Prabhupada's teachings. So like that, we're going to deal with the chat that way. We're not censoring people. We want everybody to feel, how can I say, welcome here. We want everybody to participate, and we want everybody to join the mission that we have of protecting Prabhupada's legacy moving into the future. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll have the Jayarada Madhava prayers. Your questions, we will respond to them after the class, Prabhu, but thank you for putting your hand up. Let's put on the Jayarada Madhava and carry on with the class. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Different quotes, hundreds and hundreds of quotes to support what we're saying. And if anybody's interested in getting some support for that based on Prabhupada's teachings, they can reach out to us away from the class today, and we'll be happy to supply them with all of the verifiable quotes that specify that Prabhupada's books should not be changed in any shape or form after he had made specific approvals of the additions that were being done. Now, I know most of our members here are fully aware of this, and it doesn't matter what author it is or what artist it is. Most people that produce some kind of literature don't expect other people to come and change one word. That's the way it is. It's not just something we're saying or that Prabhupada. This is common sense. You do not change the words or creation of the creator. You just leave it. And there are all kinds of laws that restrict that. There are copyright laws that restrict that. Of change. Now, in this particular case of the movement that Prabhupada formed, they do not follow copyright laws. We have proof of this. We have been to Washington. We have we have all of the copyrights in our archives now, in our computers, that show exactly what the copyrights for what books are. And if you change anything in these books, you have to go to Washington and make all the different changes specifically and register them with the Copyright Office. Otherwise, it's not legal. That's legacy. We're talking about Prabhupada's legacy here. And it's very important for us to realize that first, his legacy is contained in his books. Right? When people start to change the books, we use this as a quote. I won't get into the details right now. I saw a video the other day. Someone was speaking about it. And what do they say? Just try to find out the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Offer obeisance to him and render service unto him. The self-realized soul the self-realized soul can deliver the truth because they have seen the truth. When we originally got the Gita, it was he has seen the truth. This has been changed or altered in order to justify 150 gurus that are in the movement that he formed. 150. And out of 150 gurus, 60 have fallen down, and at least 25% of them right now are embroiled in all kinds of scandal. So, legacy, don't change Prabhupada's books. So our legacy is we're protecting Prabhupada's books, and we plan to go ahead and print Prabhupada's books in his original format moving forward, and that's yet to be announced. Number 2, we promote Prabhupada in his legacy by recruiting people to become Prabhupada disciples. Very important point. We're recruiting people. Now, we don't demand that people become Prabhupada disciples through initiation. That is not our platform here. Our platform is to present the philosophy that Prabhupada gave for them to study, for them to follow. And if they have a desire, to take it more seriously, to become a disciple, they can approach us. We're forming a Brahminical council. And that Brahminical council will be comprised of senior godbrothers who are of the same disposition. We're all of the same disposition, and we'll have a system that you'll be able to see in our constitution that will explain how this person can achieve initiation as a Prabhupada disciple, going through our rather strict protocol for them to get this initiation. It's not just something you just throw around. You can be this and you can become. No, it's a great honor to be a Prabhupada disciple, and we want to respect that legacy. Why? Because when we all leave this body, which will be within a few years, who's going to be here to preserve Prabhupada's legacy? The disciples of these new gurus? Are they the ones? Or are they looking at, are they protecting Prabhupada's legacy? No. It's all about them and their gurus and their samadhi tombs and their books. They've even stopping the members of that movement that he formed from selling Prabhupada's books in the temples. In some temples, they don't allow the devotees to preach from these books. If you have this book, they make you take it out of the temple. You got to show this one. This one, not that one. This one has 4,000 changes in it. Is that editing? That's changing. This is not protecting Prabhupada's legacy. So that's basically it. I just wanted everyone to know that this is the basis of why we get together, why we're called the Prabhupada Disciples Association, and what our mandate is as group, as members of this group. That we're presenting Prabhupada's original books to all the new people that want to study. And at the same time, we're telling them, if you become serious and you want to get initiated, we'll consider it that you may take initiation and become a Prabhupada disciple in due course of time. Simple. So that when we leave, there are people here that can carry on with the legacy. One last point before we begin the class. The last class, there was an issue that was brought up about the chat, which we thought was a good point to consider, because some people were getting distracted by the chat, in that sometimes people in the chat may make comments which are not related to the class or to the speaker's comments in the class or to the chapter or section of the books we're reading from. So what we're going to do is, you can continue to, all the members of the class, you can continue to write your chat messages in, and the chat messages that are related to the class, Vincott will read them out to the speaker during the question and answer period, and then he can answer them. The other questions, which may not be related to the topics that night, will be cataloged, and then Vincott will send you an email or a message and say, whatever questions you have, you can reach out to our group and send it to Yashoda or myself or other people in Ram Raghava or other people that are participating in this with us. And then we can give them a further explanation of what and answers we consider to be appropriate for them based on Prabhupada's teachings. So like that, we're going to deal with the chat that way. We're not censoring people. We want everybody to feel, how can I say, welcome here. We want everybody to participate, and we want everybody to join the mission that we have of protecting Prabhupada's legacy moving into the future. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll have the Jayarada Madhava prayers. Your questions, we will respond to them after the class, Prabhu, but thank you for putting your hand up. Let's put on the Jayarada Madhava and carry on with the class. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Paraman Sabaribrajacharya Sakarishya Samavati Dham Saraswati Goswami Bhagavati Jaya Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Ki Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya Names of the whole Sri Krishna Sri Radha Krishna Bhogavna Samkand Radha Kundali Ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Mai Ki Jaya Jamuna Mai Ki Jaya Dwarka Dham Ki Jaya Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya All glories to that. All glories to that. Thank you very much.
Om Ajnanathimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaham Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela chapter 1. We are reading from the original non-adulterated 1974 edition. We are in Adi Leela chapter 1, text number 56. All synonyms, translation, purports, and commentaries by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement.
Prabhu, we're sorry, just to interrupt. We're on text 57.
Okay, text 57, page 58. Chintamanir Jayati Sumagirir Gurur Me Shiksha Guruscha Bhagavan Shiki Pancha Maulihi Yatpada Kalpataru Pallava Shekareshu Lila Swayamvara Rasam Labate Jayashri Chintamani Jayati. All glory to Chintamani. Somagiri, the initiating guru. Guru, spiritual master. Me, my. Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual master. Cha, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shikipincha, with peacock feathers. Maulihi, whose head. Yat, whose. Pada, of the lotus feet. Kalpataru, like desired trees. Pallava, like new leaves. Shekareshu, at the toenails. Lila Swayamvara, of conjugal pastimes. Rasam, the mellow. Labhati, obtains. Jayashri, Srimati Radharani. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. All glory is to Chintamani and my initiating spiritual master Somagiri. All glory is to my instructing spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who wears peacock feathers in his crown, under the shade of his lotus feet, which are like desire trees. Jayashri Radharani enjoys the transcendental mellow of an eternal consort. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. This verse is from the Krishna Karnamrita, which was written by a great Vaishnava sannyasi named Vilva Mangala Thakur, who is also known as Lila Shuka. He intensely desired to enter into the eternal pastimes of the Lord, and he lived at Vrindavana for 700 years in the vicinity of Brahmakunda, a still existing bathing tank in Vrindavan. The history of Vilvamangala Thakur is given in a book called Sri Vallabha Digvijaya. He appeared in the 8th century Shaka era in the province of Dravida and was the chief disciple of Vishnu Swami. In a list of temples and monasteries kept in Shankaracharya's monastery in Dwarka, Bilvamangala is mentioned as the founder of the Dwarkadish temple there. He entrusted the service of his deity to Hari Brahmachari, a disciple of Vallabha Bhatta. Bilvamangala Thakur actually entered into the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. He has recorded his transcendental experiences and appreciation in the book known as Krishna Karnamrita. In the beginning of that book, he has offered his obeisances to his different gurus, and it is to be noted that he has adored them all equally. The first spiritual master mentioned is Chintamani, who was his instructing spiritual master, because she first showed him the spiritual path.